Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel and back to another Urban Calisthenics workout of my full body calisthenics routine. In today's session, I'm excited to bring back to you the ultimate ring workout, for which you'll be using a set of gymnastics rings for every single exercise in the routine. And the beauty of this workout is you do not need to make any adjustments on the rings. You can set them up at the same height and perform every single exercise. The exercises, you'll be doing 5 of them for 30 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest for a total of 5 rounds. That's just over 18 minutes in total. As always, practice those instructionals before getting stuck into the workout alongside a thorough warm-up. I will leave a link in the description below for a warm-up that I feel is suitable for this routine, but by all means, you can do one of your own. That's enough from me. Let's see what's in store. So for the ring horizontal row, you're going to start by taking hold of the rings and then making your way down into a straight position. Just make sure that the arms are completely straight and you don't have your shoulders coming into contact with the floor. From here, you're going to start by elevating the hips, squeezing the backside, squeezing the legs and keeping the shoulders packed. As we initiate the pull, you're going to force the rings down the body, so pushing towards the hips and pulling up all at the same time. So essentially trying to get the ribs to come into contact with the wrists. So again, I'm going to pull up, force the rings down the body, essentially moving like a plank of wood, keeping the body as straight as possible. Back to full extension of the arms before moving into the next one. So if this is too challenging, what we can do is take this into a diagonal row, and this will take some of the effort away from the back. The setup will be exactly the same. So we keep the tension on the straps, we keep the body nice and straight, and still with the idea of pulling the rings towards the ribs as we go into that top position. So keep the back engaged at all times, especially on that negative, but forcing the rings down the body as you make your way up to that top position. So for the ring L fly, you're going to set up in exactly the same way as you would the horizontal row, making sure the hips are off the floor, the rings are slightly behind the anchor point, the arms are as straight as possible, and the shoulders are packed in. As we initiate our pull for our horizontal row, by the time we get to that top position, the intention is to get the head through the rings, turning the knuckles back and sitting the hips back as far as you possibly can, trying to keep the head as high as possible. From this position, you're going to drive the hips up to try and hit that checkpoint again, ribs into the rings, and then back into full extension. So once again, we pull up with our horizontal row, hit the checkpoint, ribs to the wrist if you can, and as we fly through, the knuckles are back, the shoulders are down, and the elbows are behind the body. You then drive the hips up to initiate the descent. So again, pull up, fly through, sit those hips back, drive the hips high, hit the checkpoint, and then back into full extension. So for the bent leg dips, you're going to start by moving into a dip support position, making sure the rings are very close to the body, keeping the wrist straight, keeping the arms straight, but most importantly, keeping the shoulders packed down. From here, I'm going to bend both knees, having the feet behind the body, but keeping the knees, hips, and shoulders on the same path. As we initiate the dip, you're going to start by taking the head forwards, bending the arms, keeping the spine flexed, and keeping the shoulders separated. Once we reach the end position, we're going to push out strong, driving the hips through so that the hips essentially meet the rings. So we go again, head forwards, abs pulled in, keeping as little weight through the feet as we possibly can. Reach that end point, push out strong, drive the hips through so the hips meet the rings in that top position. this is too challenging, what we can do is simply add more weight to the legs when performing the dip. So for a progression of the bent leg dips, I'm now going to talk you through a full dip on the rings. And for this, we're going to start by bringing the rings very close to the body, creating some tension through the straps, and we're going to start by bending the knees ever so slightly. Now, the moment I extend the legs and hop myself into a support position, I'm going to work on locking the arms completely, keeping the shoulders down and keeping the wrists as straight as possible. From here, and holding this dish shape, you're going to start by hinging at the hips, taking the head forwards to the point where I can reach the floor with the feet. Now in a folded position, I'm going to push out strong and then to return back into that dish position. So again, pressing down through the rings, keeping the shoulders under control, folding the body, light contact on the floor if you need it, and then we're going to push out strong and back to our straight position. So for our ring curls, you're going to start by taking a hold of the rings and setting the body up to around about 45 degrees. But if this is too challenging, we can simply walk the feet back and bring the body to a more upright position, and that will make it easier. From this position, we're going to perform a curl by bringing the hands over the head, but trying to keep the distance between the elbows and the body as big as possible. So what I want you to avoid is just bringing the arms into the body like this. So the intention is to keep the elbows fixed in the same position, and with the intention of keeping the weight through the straps and bringing the hands over the head. Once you've reached that position, move down as slow as you possibly can and then move into the next. Notice how when I'm moving up and down, I'm keeping the body as straight as possible. I'm not collapsing at the hips, and keep the shoulders locked in at all times. But most importantly, keep that gap between the elbows and the ribs. So for the ring tricep extension, you're going to start by setting your rings up to around about waist level, and then from here we're going to move into the hollow body position. I want you to make sure the hands are out in front of the shoulders and you keep tension through the straps at all times, and also try to keep the wrists as straight as possible. So when I'm set up in the hollow body position with the ribs pulled down and the pelvis tucked under, the intention is to move the elbows underneath the rings whilst bringing the head to the rings. So I'm going to press down through the rings, bending the arms and trying to get the head to move underneath. Once I've reached this point, locking in that shape, the idea is to press down through the rings and then fully extend the arms, making sure you keep that tension through the straps at all times. So again, pressing down through the rings, getting the elbows to move underneath where possible, locking in that hollow body position, and then pressing out strong without losing shape. If this is too challenging, what you can do is just take the rings that little bit more forwards, and that will take some of the effort out of the arms. And what you can also do is bring the rings up a little bit higher, and that will make it easier too. So for our tuck to L's in dip support position, you're going to start by bringing the rings very close to the body, keeping the wrists as straight as possible, keeping the arms locked at all times, and most importantly, keeping the shoulders packed down. From here, you're going to form a dish from your head to your toes by bringing the feet out in front of the body, pulling the abs in and squeezing the backside and legs as hard as you can. From here, we're going to start by bringing the knees as high as possible, keeping the rings close to the body. Once you've reached that point, you're going to send the legs out into an L, keeping the legs as straight as possible, reverting back into your tuck, and then moving back into your dish. So again, pressing down through the rings, knees in high, legs out straight, back into your tuck, and then back into your dish. So if the L's are too challenging, you can simply take them out and then just work into your tuck. And if this is still too challenging, what you can do is do alternating tucks from the dish position. Now, just before we kick things off with the workout, I just want to let you know that if you want to gain access to the full Urban Calisthenics library, then head over to urbancalisthenics.com, where you can access over 100 calisthenics workouts with a new workout added every single week for just $4.99 a month. You can also take advantage of a 7-day free trial with no commitments and no payments up front. Now let's get into the workout. Thanks so much for taking part in this Urban Calisthenics workout. I hope you had a great time challenging yourself and breaking a sweat. If you did find this workout useful and beneficial, please give me a like and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. If you do want to gain access to the full Urban Calisthenics library, please visit urbancalisthenics.com, where you can gain access to over 100 workouts with a new workout added every single week for just $4.99 a month. Keep up the great work, stay motivated, and I'll see you on the next workout.